Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is our Prophets of Awakening. It's our evening Sabbath class, the 27th of August, 2022. This is our closeout. We're closing out the Sabbath. Um, we'll be our Bible reading and breakdown for the day will be we started in First Kings this morning. We'll do First Kings chapter 1. First Kings chapters 3 and 4. We did 1 and 2 this morning. I'm asking everybody to like and share and subscribe to our Prophets of Awakening and hit the notification button if you can. It'll be greatly appreciated. So this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai. You can check out our videos. There's a lot of information on the channel, a lot of information given, and the videos will connect dots for you and bring you to the truth of the scriptures. Shalom and welcome to the Prophets of Awakening channel, and welcome to our evening Shabbat class. We're going to do our moment of silence, Sabbath prayer, Psalms, and then we'll do some current events. We're going to need to know information, and we open up for Q&A. Then we'll do our Bible reading and break it down. Okay. So this is our moment of silence for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as our servants David, Solomon, Samuel, and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and keep your commandments, your testimony, your statutes with all our heart and soul, and aim to perform the words of your covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, O Lord, hear and do, and hide not thy face from us any longer, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. I'm going to read a song right quick. Okay, I'm going to read Psalm 96. It's a call to praise God. Oh, sing unto the Lord a new song. Sing unto the Lord all the earth. Sing unto the Lord, bless his name. Show forth his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory among the heathen and his wonders among all people. For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. For all gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. Honor and majesty are before him. Strength and beauty are in his sanctuary. Give unto the Lord, O ye kindreds of the people. Give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name, and bring offerings and come into his courts. O worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Fear before him all the earth. Say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth, and the world also shall be established, that it shall be moved. He shall judge the people righteously, and let the heavens rejoice, and let the earth be glad. Let the sea roar, and the fullness thereof, and let the field be joyful, and all that is therein. Then shall all the trees of the woods rejoice before the Lord, for he cometh, and for he cometh to judge the earth, and he shall judge the world with righteousness, and the people with his truth. Okay, that was Psalm 96, a call to praise God. Any comments on that? Okay, verse 3 is what I want to shine light on. It says, declare his glory among the heathens and his wonders among all people. So, reading that right in the dividing it, we see the heathens and is separate from all other people. We read it again. Declare his glory among the heathen and his wonders among all people. Okay? Let that sink in. Okay? So with that being said, we do our little do some current events. Shalom. Okay.
October 2021, over 100 world leaders assembled in Glasgow to acknowledge the urgency of climate change. This summit was supposed to be a wake up call, a turning point for this planet's future. But like all the summits that came before it, COP26 too ended up being a disappointment. It only gave developed nations a platform to list the sins of the developing world, their own transgressions notwithstanding. They set targets for others, goals to be achieved by 2050. Chief among them was ending coal burning, phasing out the world's reliance on coal. Europe pledged to lead the way. It promised to consign coal to history and shift to renewable sources of energy. 1 year on, the same Europe is leading the march in the opposite direction. Europe is conveniently turning back to coal, no questions asked. Tonight, we'd like to call out their hypocrisy. Why is Europe turning back to coal? Where does this leave their climate goals and the larger pledge they sanctimoniously took on behalf of the rest of the world? Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. Europe is in crisis. It is running out of energy supplies. And to make up for this gap, it is ditching its green ambitions, ramping up coal imports, and reactivating old power plants. The question is why? The answer is Russia. It has cut off gas supplies to Europe. And this has triggered a power crisis. Before the war in Ukraine began, 40% of Europe's gas supplies came from Russia. But since February this year, after Russia invaded Ukraine, the imports have fallen by 2/3. The impact is this. Oil and gas reserves in Europe are falling, energy prices have more than doubled, electricity bills are soaring by the day, and economies are bleeding. As many as 12 European countries could face energy poverty by this winter. So, what does Europe do? It turns back to coal, back to using coal to generate power. Look at the recent developments. Last month, as many as 6 European countries reactivated coal fired power plants. This was to compensate for the loss of Russian gas and to keep the lights on this winter. Germany was the first to do this. In the first week of July, Germany passed a legislation. It allowed coal fired power. Coal plants were to be reactivated when supplies were low, and this will apply till 2024. So, Germany plans to use coal power for the next 2 years at least. Same with Austria. They had a mothballed coal power station. It was shut in 2020. Austria is firing up its chimneys again. Then we come to the Netherlands. It has activated an energy crisis plan, removed caps on coal power plants, meaning it has lifted restrictions on burning coal for energy. It has allowed factories to run on full capacity until 2023. France, too, is on this list. It plans to restart a power plant this winter, go back to using coal to generate electricity. This is despite France implementing a zero coal policy in 2021. The UK too plans to join the bandwagon. Last month, the British government asked coal power plants to be on standby to generate electricity, to be ready to burn coal if asked to. Italy has issued a similar alert. Its energy plants are hoarding on coal. They're getting ready to get back in action. So European countries are reopening coal plants. Now, here's a question. Where will they get coal from? Last we heard, Europe had pronounced coal mining as catastrophic. It had all but stopped producing coal. This chart will tell you how. In 1990, the production of hard coal in the EU was 277 million tons. By 2021, it fell to 57 million tons. This is a fall of 80% in 3 decades, and this is courtesy the EU's net zero goals. So they were making good progress, but now the goals have gone for a toss, and Europe wants coal to run its plants. Where will they get it? Where else but from the developing world? The EU has launched a hunt to secure coal supplies. In the month of June alone, it imported 7.9 million tons of thermal coal. Now, for perspective, around the same time last year, they got 2 million tons of coal. So, this is an almost fourfold jump. Now, look at the source. 1.2 million tons of coal came from Colombia, 854,000 tons from South Africa, and 1.1 million tons from Australia. And these are just the big suppliers. Europe is also importing more coal from Indonesia, Mozambique, Namibia, and Nigeria. Also, the United States of America, the global cop on everything, including climate change, is supplying coal to Europe. In June, coal imports from the US to the EU reached 618,000 tons, a 28% rise from last year. So you get the drift. Now, what will be the impact of these decisions? Emissions are expected to hit record levels. According to analysts, coal imports to the EU will be 43% higher next year. This will release an additional 10 million tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. 10 million tons. Where does this leave their climate goals? Their promise is to become carbon neutral. The EU is not talking about any of this. Running their air conditioners is evidently more important. In the meantime, studies like these are being offered as justification. This analysis was released by Ember. It is a UK based non-profit think tank. It says short term reliance on coal for emergency use will have little impact on Europe's climate commitments. And so there's no need to sensationalize the issue. Interestingly, on its website, this think tank also writes in bold, coal power must end to reverse the climate crisis. It's the single biggest contributor to climate change. What's worse, the same think tank lambasts developing nations, calls them out for not doing enough to adopt green energy. Now, here's the thing. We know that desperate diseases need desperate remedies. We know that Europe is going through a power crisis. It needs to keep the lights on. But this was the same argument given by developing nations. They need power to run their factories. They lack sources of alternative energy. Their economies are more vulnerable to drastic shifts. Europe had none of it. It remained sanctimonious. It lectured the global south, told them to shut their factories and ration coal. And now that Europe is in a fix, it doesn't think twice before turning to coal. They're rich, they can buy coal. They can change the rules while keeping the moral high ground. They can change the goalposts because air conditioning in the first world cannot be switched off. And this is classic Western hypocrisy, throwing money to get more oil and coal while telling the rest of the world to rely on solar and wind power, refusing to take responsibility for historical emissions, refusing climate compensation to developing countries. You may remember the Bonn climate talks in June. Developing nations sought a specific climate funding facility. They wanted financial aid to switch to renewable energy and cope with the impact of climate change, triggered by both the European Union and the United States. They consistently blocked discussions on the topic. They refused to provide climate specific funds. How should the world deal with this high handedness and this hypocrisy?
Okay. Any comments? Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, they already know the results of continuing to use coal and what its effects on the ecosystem and the climate. So you see they wrapping back up with the coal because of what Russia's doing. So supposed to expect more chaos concerning the weather and all that in the very near future. Okay.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. Now, America ought to be ashamed of itself, but you know it's not. They are proud of everything that happens in this country. So let's get into this story. Apparently, there's a new system that is designed much like the Amber Alert to kind of give some assistance to those who are victims of acts of hate. So the new system is meant to flag racist incidents and is being named after Emmett Till. So I guess the system works while the crime is in progress. So I'm not sure exactly how it will help other than alerting someone and possibly catching the trail before it goes cold. But what's sad about that is many cases we know they know who does things, they know who the perpetrators are, but yet they continue to let the trail go cold because they have no intentions of arresting anyone. We have seen that happen even in the case of Emmett Till himself. They knew who everyone was, they knew where they were, what they had done, how horrible it was, but yet and still, this woman is almost 90 years old and she lived her life in freedom. Now you will have those who will say, "Well, she has those ghosts that's haunting her at night. She wasn't living free; she was living whatever." You have those who believe that the mind torture is enough punishment. Anyway, let's get into the story. Let's get into the story. So it says a new system to flag racist incidents and acts of hate is named after Emmett Till. Maryland has seen a slew of racist incidents over the last year, including targeted bomb threats to three historically black colleges and universities, and vandals writing messages of hate on the doors of churches. Now the state has launched an alert system to flag racist incidents and acts of hate. The Emmett Till Alert System, named in honor of the 14-year-old who was abducted, tortured, and killed in 1955 after being accused of whistling at a white woman, will act as a warning system if credible threats are made. Okay. It says, when the FBI director said often that the greatest domestic terrorism threat is white supremacists, we have to take hate crimes and terrorist threats seriously, said Carl Snowden of the Caucus of African American Leaders of Anne Arundel County, Maryland, during a news conference announcing the system. It says the new warning system, which went into effect this week, will notify Black leaders across Maryland of any credible racist incidents of hate crimes that take place anywhere in the state. Once a hate crime or racist incident is reported, a team of people will determine if an alert should be sent out. Oh my goodness. So again, that's what I was talking about. It seems like something have to happen first. So it's not really protection. And the people who do these things, they're not afraid of anything. They're not even afraid of going to jail in most cases because they know that the system is littered with people who think just like them. They know that they're going to get that slap on the wrist that they've gotten for centuries. But anyway, I applaud them for their effort in trying to do something. But what I believe needs to be done is write in the pages of scripture. If my people, which are called by my name, would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive their sin and heal their land. It won't be nothing our enemies can do once we repent. But as long as we are out here doing stuff as a people, as a whole, these people are just doing what they do, what was prophesied that they would do, right? So we as a whole need to repent. Our people need to repent. They need.
Okay, anybody heard about that? The immature alert system?
My first time hearing about that one. Wow.
Okay. Maybe there's some?
Not knowing what it's really going to do for us, but wow. Stop
Yeah.
already.
It's like the Slavery Awareness Day. It just passed over in Texas. Okay. That's some. Got a little need to know information.
ladies and gentlemen, can you imagine being in a heat wave for 70 days in a row? Well, this is what's going on in China. China has been in a heat wave for 70 straight days, parallel to no modern record keeping. And they said this is not happening anywhere else in the world. It's not happening anywhere. So China has had to shut down production in factories because it's just too hot for people to work in there. And the temperature has been ranging from around 103 all the way up to 110 degrees. Ooh, now that is hot. So the extreme heat and drought has been roasting vast swaths of southern China for at least 70 straight days, has no parallel in modern record keeping in China or elsewhere around the world for that matter. Well, I tell you what, they are roasting for real. They are roasting. So, ladies and gentlemen, according to what they're saying, is they are facing a climate disaster, especially when it comes down there. If you were on my live stream, I briefly spoke about this, but in that article, it did not specify how many days this has gone on like this one. So, why does it matter? Because they said the question is climate scientists and how much of climate change attributed to this disaster. They're saying what's going on in China is a disaster. Their crops, I was looking at some of the different pictures of their crops. Woo, it is literally all dry. The climate is so dry, it is hard for them to even keep their crops up. So China is trying to test out a chemical to try to make it rain. Now, let me tell you, you got to go out and research, because we got a lot of people that think man can control the weather. That is not true. And I had someone say, oh, well, they use cloud seeding, but a lot of times that fails. It fails a lot. All right. All you got to do is go look. Cloud seeding fails more than it succeeds. All right. So, the big picture, more than 260 weather stations saw their highest temperatures during the long running heat wave, according to media reports. It has coincided with a severe drought, and that's going on here in the US. A lot of these places that had heat waves are also going through droughts. And y'all see what Lake Mead and the Colorado River looks like. And, and some places are facing water restrictions. And I mean, even around here where I am, you can see some lawns that are clearly burnt up. It has been a very hot summer, very hot. So it's been a severe heat wave that has shiveled rivers and lakes and throttled back some of China's hydropower production. This has led the government to cut power in certain industries as an emergency measure. And the power in many of these places were cut until August 21st, which just passed. By the number, more all time heat records fell Sunday in China. So they had some areas reporting temperatures of 110.3 Fahrenheit, 110.1 Fahrenheit. This was just this past Sunday. So an all-time high temperature in China, they actually broke a record because they said in the southern part, the highest was 105.8. Well, they surpassed that this past Sunday. Mm-mm-mm. So it's an unusually large margin of a milestone. So Saturday, they were saying they saw 9 million people impacted by these temperatures. And guess what the nighttime temperature was? 94.8 degrees Fahrenheit. That was a nighttime temperature. Boy, if you don't have
Okay. So we see that you can't wish that off on nobody. I mean, I know down here in Louisiana, we catching it from the heat, but it's saying 70 days in a row, back to back, no break. It's what China in the midst of right now. Okay. Any comments on that? Okay. I'm gonna go into my Q&A. Anybody got any questions or comments about anything this morning, last night, or anything on StreamYard? I mean, Clubhouse? Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna go into this for a minute, then I'm gonna go into the reading out of the book of First Kings, chapters 2 and 3. I mean 3 and 4. Well, here we go.
Brother Leonard, you're on mute.
He's saying that by whom also he made the worlds. Now, if you can imagine a picture, the Most High created the heaven and the earth. Question: the Most High created the heaven and the earth. So, are we saying that the Most High created his heaven right now? No, makes no sense. The Most High existed before the heaven and he existed before the earth. So we know that when he's saying he created the heaven and the earth, it's pertaining to this heaven and this earth. What's heaven? I thought when we die, we go to heaven. Heaven is atmospheric. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of the Most High moved upon the face of the waters. It moved upon the face. Interesting. Have in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he have appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds. Now, don't have in your mind this NASA concept of worlds, of Pluto, and all these big, massive places like that. They're gas, they're balls of fire, or water, or whatever it is, but it's not something that you can walk on. It's gases and stuff of that nature. Yeah. Those who are new might be thinking, what's he talking about? Those who know, and those who don't. It's as simple as that. But anyway, in Hebrews 1 verse 2, he's saying that by whom also he made the worlds. Now, if you can imagine a petri dish, I think that's how you call it, a petri dish. Yeah. The earth is a plane, and on top of the plane is another plane, and there's another plane, and there's another plane, and there's another plane. So there's planes on top of planes. That's what it means by the other worlds. But it's going to make sense. We'll get there. We'll get there. Having these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he have appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds, or he made the plains, the terrains. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of Yahuwah, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear, which is a powerful point. Before it becomes physical, it's first a thought. You have to think it, then you do it. Some people are very impulsive. They don't think before they do a lot of things. But if you're careful, if you're creative, you put a lot of thought into what you do. You think first and then you follow. For example, the old classic, if I tell you to touch your nose, yeah, I've spoken a word, and then the word becomes reality in your action. I speak a word, and the word becomes reality in your action. Touch your nose. Some of you obeyed and touched your nose. Some of you disobeyed and said, don't tell me to touch my nose. It is what it is. You get me? So now we're just going to break down what void is first and foremost. So void is boo-hoo. Void is boo-hoo. Yeah? And that is superficially undistinguishable ruin, emptiness, or void. Boo-hoo. Yeah? Now, let's break down what it means by deep. We're going to get deep, and if you're still on cereal, it might not be for you. And that's not no haughtiness, that's just me taking care of you, because you don't want to run before you can walk. And likewise. So this is for the people who have been on the platform for a minute and know a little bit, or know a lot in regards to the thing, you get me? So, the deep. What is the deep? What is the deep? So, the deep, it can mean depths, deep places, abysses, the deep sea, deep subterranean waters, deep sea, abysses of sea, primeval ocean, deep, deep depth, abyss, the grave. Interesting. Now, don't run away in your mind and start thinking of like interesting scenarios. Just follow the study and don't go ham. Stay clean. All right. So what we're going to get at this one slide is that the creation of this world and this heaven is what the scripture is starting from. Get out of your mind, chisel it away, that when it's saying in the beginning, it's talking about in the beginning of the whole entire plane, because we know it's not talking about the whole entire plane, because Most High has no beginning. So when it's saying in the beginning, he created the heaven and the earth, what heaven and what earth is it related to? It's relating to this plane that we exist on today. And we know it's talking about this plane that we exist on today, because it says the earth was without form, void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of the Most High moved upon the face of the waters. So from the get-go, it's talking about a particular period of time relating to our plane of existence, this earth. This is what it's talking about. It will make sense as we go through. I'm just laying out the premise so that people understand, and understand that when this Genesis 1 account is being written, it's not talking about the time before the creation of this earth. It's talking about this earth and its creation. People are already gone off on one. It's fine. We're going to get there. Hold fire. Hold fire. All right. So let's see what was written in this account. So in the book of Melchizedek, as precious as life, the freedom to choose through which creatures. Now, before I read this, I'm going to be not doing what I usually do. when I read the whole entire book to you. Yeah. In this particular study, I'm going to read certain portions, then you go away and read the whole thing in its entirety. Yeah. I'm going to read a bit here and there. You go away, do your due diligence, and read the whole thing in its entirety. I know people are triggered already. Could have come from churchianity, campianity, chartianity, institutionalism, seminary school. I get it. But just hold fire and stick with the thing. So, the abyss was like the angels before the creation, the mysterious what planet, and what would the angels test? Everybody on earth, in order to have free will, you have to have a test. You don't just say, oh, I love the Most High because it's the Most High and I have a beard or a fringe or I'm a jet.
So reason why I was playing this was, and then I mean, notice he mentioned a book called Book of Melchizedek. You know, so if you want to check it out or get it or whatever, it's on you. But he was talking about how this angel test. So we noticed that in the garden, mankind had a test, but he's talking about before mankind was created, the angels had a test. So I'm gonna let that play a little bit. I thought that was interesting, and then and then that's how Satan ended up on earth. He failed the test, but anyway, we're gonna let it play.
And tall, and I love the Jesus. What would Jesus? No. Every single person on the earth who has free will, there has to be a test. The same way, when we start making all these silly androids and these silly machines, we have to test them to see that they're suitable, if that makes sense. Probably going to be too deep. I'll roll it in. But let's continue and let's advance. Now, as precious as life, the freedom to choose through which creatures could show their love for the Creator required proof of faithfulness. So faithfulness is a choice. Faithlessness is a choice. Faith is a choice. People faithfully obey and they faithfully disobey. Don't get put off by these little buzzwords that people throw out. Faith. People are faithfully disobedient and people are faithfully obedient. Don't let the buzzword fool you. The just shall live by faith. Faithful obedience or faithful disobedience. Now, as precious as life, the freedom to choose through which the Creator could show their love for their Creator, the creatures could show their love for their Creator, required proof of faithfulness. With the purpose of revealing it, the Eternal led the host through the illuminated space until it approached an abyss of darkness that contrasted with the immense brightness of the galaxies. Don't get triggered by the terminology galaxies either. Just think of the plane, the levels of planes, yeah? 1 plane, 2 plane, 3 plane, tiers, for want of a better word. Now, in the distance, the abyss had revealed itself insignificant in the eyes of the angels, like a spot without light. But as he approached, he showed himself in his enormity. So as they were going around certain planes, certain levels of existence, there was a little dot on the radar, and this radar was obscure. Because when you read what darkness means in Genesis 1 verse 2, it says obscurity. It doesn't mean what you think it means. You have to dig a little bit deeper. So darkness means obscurity. Void means voidless or without shape, without form. Interesting words. An indistinguishable ruin. Now people are gone off on one and thinking, oh, was a fighting and war before? No, just hold fire. It's just words. Let's continue with this. In the distance, so let's just backpedal. With the purpose of revealing it. Now let me go back further. As precious as life, the freedom to choose which creatures could show their love for the Creator required proof of faithfulness. With the purpose of revealing it, the Eternal led the host through the illuminated space until, so he's leading them on a tour guide of creation, until it approached an abyss of darkness. obscurity that contrasted with the immense brightness of the galaxies. In the distance, that abyss had revealed itself insignificant. It was a little insignificant blip on the radar in the eyes of the angels, like a spot without light. But as he approached, he showed himself in his enormity. The Creator, by every step, revealed to the angels the mysteries of his kingdom, was silent there. So as he's showing them all these places and this, that, and the other, when he approached this particular obscure place, he was silent. Silencio. As if keeping a secret for himself. The thing that the Creator does, he likes to keep something for himself. That's his. For example, in the garden, he said, you can eat every fruit on every single tree, you know. But you see that one there, that's mine. That's the test. Appetite, that's a test. Obey me faithfully or disobey me faithfully, that's a test. It was a clean fruit as well. It wasn't no unclean fruit, potentially. It was a clean fruit. In fact, Enoch, it tells you what the fruit is. And the fruit is very commonplace in West Africa and East Africa. But I digress. The Creator, where every step revealed to the angels the mysteries of his kingdom, was silent there, as if keeping a secret for himself. The darkness of that abyss consisted in a test of faithfulness. The darkness of that abyss consisted in a test of faithfulness. The Most High gave them and everything, you know, but there was a certain part in the plane that wasn't explained to them. It wasn't revealed to them. It was cloaked in obscurity. It was a mystery. The angels wanted to peep into the mystery, but they can't. They couldn't. It belonged to the Most High. It was to test their allegiance. For example, I don't know if you guys have watched Superbook. I've got children, I've watched Superbook. They do an illustration in the animation where the dad says to the child, don't go into the laboratory. I'm just popping out to the shop, to the store. Don't go into my laboratory. He said you can go all over the house, the living room, dining room, the bathroom, go all over the house, but don't go into the laboratory where I have to go to work. Like, don't go into my office. The father leaves, and with the first opportunity, his firstborn son goes into the office. He goes into the laboratory and wreaks havoc and mashes it up accidentally, just because curiosity killed the cat. Now, the Creator, where every step revealed to the angels the mysteries of his kingdom, was silent there, as if keeping a secret for himself. The darkness of that abyss consisted in a test of faithfulness. Turning to the host, the Eternal solemnly affirmed all the treasures of light.
Check out how they twist this all up.
Will be open to your knowledge, except the secrets hidden by darkness. You are free to serve me or not. Loving the light, you will abound to the source of life. Loving the light, you will abound to the source of life. With these words, Yahuwah made separation between light and darkness, good and evil. The universe was free to choose its destiny. Now, it's going to get interesting. So, this image doesn't do it justice, because what they saw was some random, opaque, obscure thing that they couldn't make heads or tails of. The abyss was likened unto a spot on the radar. What was the angels' test? Knowing that they could have everything, but that one thing belonged to the Most High. What was Adam and Eve's test? Knowing that they could have everything, but one thing was reserved for the Most High. Interesting. Let's continue and let's advance. I wonder what could have been obscure. I wonder what could have been cloaked in darkness. I wonder what they were prying to look into and what they were prying to see. I wonder what the Most High was withholding from them. I wonder why he was withholding it. Well, we just saw that it was a test of free will, and free will is the ability to choose. choose to be faithfully obedient or faithfully disobedient. It's a choice. Now let's continue. I just want to show you that there was an order before this order. There was an order before the earth. I know we, from our churchianity backgrounds and stuff, we were just made to believe that Genesis 1:1 is just talking about the creation of everything. No. There was a time before that, but that time before that wasn't to do with us. It was to do with the angels then. Total different time, nothing to do with us. It was the time of their creation, the time of their test. But we're not told that, and we're not given that information. We're just given the information of in the beginning, the Most High. So in the beginning, that's time, the Most High made, created the heavens and the earth, blah, 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 blah. But that's dealing with our earth, our terrain. Now, I'm going to show you that there was things that existed before that. So, when you go to the book of Bartholomew, he says here, for indeed, I was the first formed angel, for when Yahuwah made the heavens. Now, what heavens he's talking about? He's not necessarily talking about the heavens that you're thinking about regarding the earth. Now, before I move on, because I know people have read Jubilees, I'm going to be like, yo, how do you make this fit? We're going to get there. In Jubilee, we'll get there. Let me do it decently and in order. Hold those Jubilee questions. I know some Bereans are like, but yo, hold them. And if I forget, remind me. For indeed, I was formed the first angel. For when Yahuwah made the heavens, he took a handful of fire and formed me first. Michael second, for he had his son before the heavens. He took a handful of fire and formed me first. Michael second, for he had his son before the heavens and the earth. There you have it, before the heavens and the earth. And we were formed, for when he took forth to create all things, his son spake a word, so that we also were created by the will of the Son and the consent of the Father. He formed, I say, first me, next Michael, the chief captain of the hosts that are above, Gabriel third, Uriel fourth, Raphael fifth, Nathaniel sixth, and the other angels of whom I cannot tell the names, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Nathaniel, and other 6,000 angels. Michael, the honor of power, third Raphael, fourth Gabriel, and the other 7. Raphael third, Gabriel fourth, Uriel fifth, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'll stop there. I just want to show you that there was a time before Genesis 1:1, and it's a time of their test. And I wanted to show you that they existed before the heavens and the earth were formed. I know in Jubilees 2, it says, I'm not going to confuse, just hold fire. I want to do it decently in order. I want to stay on a certain trajectory. All right, cool. Let's go with that. So, let's see what happened as time went on. Rational beings' pleasure in doing what? What was the angels' fulfillment on a daily basis? What were they? What gave them purpose? What gave them purpose? Oh, I even made a footnote regarding Jubilee, so I'll probably answer it in this footnote. Anyway, so it says here, the long-awaited dream of the Creator was to concretize, I don't know. The long-awaited dream of the Creator was, now as a loving Father, he led the creatures through an eternity of harmony and peace. By virtue of the fulfillment of divine laws, the universe expanded in happiness and glory. There was a strong jealousy of love, which united all strongly. Rational beings endowed with the capacity of infinite unfolding found indescribable pleasure in learning. Their pleasure was in learning the inexhaustible treasures of divine wisdom, transmitting them to the like. They were like channels through which the source of eternal life nurtured all of love and light. Gonna get interesting. In Jerusalem, the ministers of the kingdom met before the sovereign king, always ready to fulfill his purposes. It was through Lucifer that the Eternal revealed his designs. After receiving a new revelation, he promptly transmitted it. So this is the order that was taking place. So, after receiving a new revelation, he promptly transmitted it to the angelic hosts. These in turn shared it with creation. So Lucifer was at the top seat when it came to distributing information. In famous flight, the angels were heading towards the capital planes, where in large assemblies, the representatives of other worlds' planes met in many of these assemblies. Lucifer was present, filling the participants with joy and admiration. Perfect in all virtues, he captivated them with his sympathy. No other angel was able to reveal like him the mysteries of eternal love. He was so high up there. He was the elite of the elite. He was the next to the Most High. He was really someone to be reckoned with in terms of intelligence, wisdom. The universe, feeding on the source of life, expanded into an eternity of perfect peace. Obedience to divine laws. A lot of people want to go to the Most High and want to make it into the kingdom, but the kingdom's going to have laws. You can't have a kingdom without a king, and a king has to give laws. There has to be law and order. I know this world spins it backwards and says law and disorder, but there has to be law and order. You see me? So, no other angel was able to reveal like him the mysteries of eternal love. The universe, feeding on the source of life, expanded into an eternity of perfect peace. Obedience to divine laws was the foundation of all progress and happiness. Although aware of free will, so they had free will, the desire to depart from the Creator never arisen to the heart of any creature. So they were able to disobey if they wanted to, but that disobedient spirit, that disobedient nature was never present. This was the case for a long time, until such a problem broke into the life of one who was the most intimate of the eternal. The most intimate of the eternal. Interesting. Now let's find out what happened. And we know in the book of Job, there was a day when the sons of the angels met each other, you know. And I know people are thinking, nah, man, it says sons of men, it's talking about mankind or humans, whatever you want to call it. When we get into our Job study, you're going to see where I'm going with that. It's pretty plain when we get into the Job study in Tartary. Very, very plain. Anyway, let's continue and let's advance. So, let's go to verse 4. So Lucifer was dedicated to what? Remember, what brought the angelic host joy was learning, wisdom, knowledge of the Most High. You know, there were scientists. You know, what is science? Gnosis. What is gnosis? Knowledge. What is knowledge? To know. Gnosis. Now the knowledge is so backwards, it's hypnosis. People go to church all their life and then they've been put to sleep. They don't know they're an Israelite. They don't know about the law still stands. They don't know that there's grace. They don't know nothing about nothing. They're in a state of hypnosis rather than gnosis, knowledge. Now, Lucifer, who had dedicated his life to knowledge of the mysteries of light, was gradually attracted to darkness. The king of the universe, in the eyes of whom nothing can be covered up, sadly accompanied his steps on the downward path that leads to death. At first, a small curiosity led Lucifer to approach that deep abyss. That deep abyss. What deep abyss are we referring to? I hope you're starting to get the picture. I hope you're starting to get the picture. But if you haven't got the picture, then one day you will. So, the angelic hope. Now, and another thing as well, you know, what did the angels bring, according to Enoch, to mankind, humanity, whatever? They brought knowledge. And when they would bring in that knowledge, they were told that you don't even have all the knowledge. You've only brought a little snapshot and you perverted it. You brought a little snapshot and you perverted it. That shows you again that these angelic hosts were into knowledge and into wisdom and into learning, science, gnosis. Lucifer, who had dedicated his life to the knowledge of the mysteries of light, was gradually attracted to darkness. The king of the universe, in the eyes of whom nothing can be covered up, sadly accompanied his steps on a downward path that leads to death. At first, the small curiosity led Lucifer to approach that deep abyss. Contemplating it, he began to investigate the reason for not being able to understand its enigma. He was upset with not being able to understand the enigma, the puzzle, the mystery. Why is there a place over there? And it just seems so out of sync with everything when we survey everything else in creation. Why is there a little spot over there that me, the second in command, I haven't even been told what it is? I look stupid. Sometimes the angels say to me, yo, walk on, man. What's that little dot over there? And I'm like, boy, so I don't know, you know. But ain't you the second in charge? Yeah, but it hasn't been revealed to me. Oh, fair enough. So you can imagine the reputation he was dealing with. Anyway, returning to his place of honor next to the throne, he prostrated himself before the divine king, begging him, Father, let me know the secrets of darkness, just as you revealed the light to me. At the request of the beautiful angel, the Eternal, with an expressive voice of sadness, said, My son, you were created for the light, which is life. Convinced that the Creator would not reveal the treasures of darkness, Lucifer decided to understand the riddle for himself. He was judged qualified for so much. He was judged qualified for so much. Don't let your qualifications make you read the text and disobey the text. There's a lot of people that when you just see something plain, don't eat swine. Don't say, well, it depends on what type of swine. It depends on the definition of swine. Was the definition of swine swine? Was it pig? And they just go very, very deep, but it's very, very shallow. But in their educated, qualified mind, they think they're doing or saying something. Just long-winded. He was judged qualified for so much. With this sad decision, the Prince of Angels allowed a spot of sin to arise in his heart that could bring a catastrophe to the universe. Now, where have we seen that word spot? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's go back a little. Where did we see the word spot?
Okay, so I just cut it off. I just wanted everybody to hear this first part of it. So he's reading so-called chapter and verse out of this book, the Book of Melchizedek. So that obviously it's a book out there called the Book of Melchizedek. So he's telling a story about before Genesis 1 and 1, that just like mankind had a test in the garden, these angels had a test in heaven. It was a place they couldn't go. They can go all over the place, but it was a certain place they can go. And then Lucifer dared to venture over and go into and went to this place, and that's how he got to where he was at. That's how he got to the point to where he transgressed against the Most High, according to what it's saying. So the name of the video is "The Fall of Lucifer, the Angels' Test, and Melchizedek." You want to watch it, but notice how it's got some truths in there, but notice how they didn't twist everything all around. They got Lucifer second in command to the Most High. We know that's a lie. And then they also got him receiving knowledge and wisdom. When we know who that is, Michael, the one with this knowledge and wisdom. And he said he was formed in the beginning from the first one formed from a ball of fire. When we know who that was. So we got these Satan worshipers, Lucifer worshipers, and not only that, Christ. And recently we got all of a sudden you got a group of people saying it's a woman that was up there in the very beginning. So anyway, so you see how they got it. You got this how these people operate. You see what they did with the Old Testament. They took out certain things and replaced them with other things. Well, they doing the same thing with this information right here. You can see where it fits, but they got it all twisted all up the way they want it and twisted it all around. And I showed you that in the book of Ptolemy. I don't know who obtained that book or not, but it's called Gospel of Ptolemy, and Satan tells a story of what happened before the beginning. I'm gonna read a little bit of it because I got the book right here. You know, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close out because we already passed out. We over an hour. Trying not to stay on that long in the evenings. So, I'm in Gospel of Bartholomew, and it says right here. You know, let me see what chapter this is. It's chapter 4. It says, but the devil, Satan, Lucifer, Samuel said, suffer me, and I will tell thee how I was cast down into this place, and how the Lord did make man. And I was going to and fro in the world, and God said unto Michael, bring me a cloud from the four corners of the earth, and water out of the 4 rivers of paradise. And when Michael brought them, God formed Adam in the region of the east, and shaped the cloud, which was shapeless, and stretched sinews and veins upon it, and established it with joints. And he worshipped himself so for his own sake first, because he was the image of God. Therefore he worshipped him. So that's what the brother was alluding to in the book of Bartholomew. So we see how they twisted it around and said that Lucifer was the first one formed, but he wasn't. We know these 7 angels was the first one formed, and Michael was the first out of those 7. And before that, it was nobody formed. So they had to twist it all around, but you have to be able to get the meat out of it and rightly divide it. And so it's a whole bunch of truths in there. So if you want to, and what was intriguing to me was these angels had a test before they came to the earth, and the situation that was in the garden. They had these angels had a situation. They had a test place where they couldn't go in heaven. Like you said, a spot, but just once they got up on it, they seen how humongous it was, but they couldn't venture to go in there. They couldn't deal with it. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. Anyway, like I said, the name of the video it's about 2 hours. Let me see. It's about an hour and 15 minutes. That's the fall of Lucifer, the angels test, Melchizedek. You can check it out. And, you want to dig a little deeper into it, then you can. So anybody have any comments on that or questions? Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, like I was saying, we'll cut it off right there. Let that ferment. So with that being said, I'm gonna say, shalom. And I see everybody on Tuesday for the advanced Bible study at 8 o'clock on Prophets of the Way. Shalom.
Shalom.